At number 10, we have Meghan Markle and Princess Diana's similarities. People can't help but compare Meghan to her late mother-in-law. Their progressive viewpoints and the public's opinions of them align, and people worry that she could have a similar fate. It didn't help that just a couple of weeks ago, it was reported that after attending a charity event in New York, Prince Harry, Meghan, and Meghan's mother Doria were in a car chase. Similar to Princess Diana's tragic accident, they were chased by paparazzi. There were claims that the chase lasted 2 hours, but the police officers that helped the royal family security didn't mention anything about a car chase. As it turns out, this was an over-exaggerated version of what really happened. While they were hounded by paparazzi, there was no car chase. All three made it to their destination safe and sound, as there was no evidence showing that they were participants in an adrenaline-fueled car ride. People criticized the royal family for making it seem worse than it really was, as it was described as nearly catastrophic. One of their drivers said it wasn't a car chase and that he never felt like he was in any danger. He did say the family seemed quiet and scared in the car, but nothing big really happened. Next, we have their potential divorce. People started assuming that divorce was on the table when it was rumored that they were growing more distant from each other. Once at a Lakers game, they were set up for the kiss cam segment, but Meghan moved away when Prince Harry went in for a kiss. This doesn't actually mean anything because she probably isn't very big on PDA in the first place. If you think about it, how often do you see a picture of the two kissing? Exactly. While people were assuming the worst, others were defending her actions, saying that it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad is happening between them. Then there were rumors of Harry staying at the luxurious San Vincent bungalows whenever he needed space for Meghan. These claims were immediately shut down by his reps, but sources were incessant that he did so when they fought and he wanted to escape the house. These are big claims coming from unverified sources. As an extremely elite and exclusive club hotel, they don't disclose who stays on their properties, so there's no way of finding out if Prince Harry was ever a guest there to begin with. Next on the list, we have how she didn't want to attend the coronation. Meghan and their two kids were not present for King Charles' coronation. People assumed there was drama and bad blood and Meghan should be the bigger person and go anyways. They thought Harry was hurt and offended that she wouldn't attend this monumental event for his father. Clearly isn't the case, as you have to remember that the couple agreed to stay away from their royal duties 3 years ago. Sure, would it have been nice to attend? Why not? But things have always been weird when it came to her and her royal in-laws. Maybe she avoided it altogether to avoid any potential exaggerated headlines, especially with her children by her side. And that's another thing. It was her son's birthday the same day, and that's obviously a priority too. Despite her clear absence, people began theorizing that she actually did show up, but in disguise. It was mostly a joke, but there were claims that Welsh composer Sir Carl Jenkins was just Meghan in costume. Next, at number 7, we have King Charles' coronation. So yes, Prince Harry attended his father's coronation solo. He was seen at the Buckingham Palace balcony along with his brother William and the rest of the royal family. He was actually sitting away from his immediate family members during the procession. This decision was obviously due to the fact that he and Meghan walked away from their royal duties, so he was no longer necessary to actively participate in it. But King Charles is still his father, so of course he showed up. People thought he was upset that Meghan and the kids didn't go with him, but people also love creating narratives to fit their fantasies. What if he didn't want to go either and he just did it out of obligation? I doubt it, but if we're gonna throw stories around, then why not? It's not like he was the odd one out, but he kind of was, as it was weird to see a prince apart from the other royal members. He wasn't even seated at the front row. He was given a seat at the third row and several seats away from his brother. It was later reported that after the ceremony, he didn't even stay for any celebration and went straight to the airport. During post-ceremony celebrations at the Buckingham Palace, where the rest of his family were, Prince Harry was already checking into his flight back to his other family. Next on the list, we have Samantha Markle's defamation case. Meghan's half-sister, Samantha, filed a lawsuit against her under baseless claims rooted in unverified speculation and conjecture. After the release of the book Finding Freedom, an unauthorized biography written about Meghan and Harry, there was a particular chapter that she didn't like. It was called A Problem Like Samantha, and that alone obviously got her attention. Aside from the book, she also said that Meghan made more defamatory comments during the infamous Oprah interview. She brought up how Meghan said, "I grew up as an only child, which everyone who grew up around me knows, and I wish I had siblings." And she seemed personally offended by that. She also said Meghan's comments in the book and in the media caused irreparable injury and harm to her reputation, as well well as anxiety and emotional distress. Apparently, as a result, she also received tons of hate mail, poor media representation, and one stalker. Unfortunately for her, she did not win the case as the judge dismissed it, claiming the evidence was not enough to prove that Meghan had the book published herself. Next, we have how she made him cut ties with his family. 3 years ago, Harry and Meghan announced they would be officially stepping down from their royal duties effective immediately. In their written public statement, they said they will obviously still be living and supporting the crown and will be splitting their time between the UK and living in California. It seems like it was a mutual agreement and not one based on Meghan herself. This alone shows how devoted Harry is to her and their truth, because the fact he's balancing this all with his reputation and his duties as Prince Harry, that's real love. During the press conference regarding the announcement, he wanted to make it clear that this transition did not mean they'd be walking away from their duties altogether. He was hoping to continue onward with it without public funding, but found that it wasn't an option. He also said, "I've accepted this knowing that it doesn't change who I am or how committed I am, but I hope that helps you understand what it had to come to, that I would step my family back from all I have ever known to take a step forward into what I can hope can be a more peaceful life." Queen Elizabeth later released her own statement sharing her and the family's support for their couple and their choice to live independently from the crown. At number 4, we have security issues. Because of this decision to live independently from the royal family, Harry was more than willing to pay for his family's own security when traveling to the UK. But for some reason, this wasn't allowed. In a statement written by the UK's executive committee, they wrote, "It was not appropriate to support an outcome whereby wealthy individuals could buy protective security from specialist police officers, potentially including armed officers. They were saying it affects public interest because it's publicly funded." I hope that makes sense to you, because I still don't get it. If you think about it, it's kind of dumb. Harry is battling it out with the UK High Court because he wants to pay for security, as in give them money in exchange of their services, and they won't let him. It seems he's lost and they're still in talks of how to go about it. If they're offering him free security and he doesn't want to accept it out of obligation to the whole living independently thing, I think he should just take it. Their safety is top priority at this point. Next on the list, we have Prince Harry's hacker. Harry and Meghan's marriage is so publicized, people will do anything to get their hands on the nitty-gritty details for the next biggest headline. There was often blame put on Meghan that they go through so much and he shouldn't be willing to go through this extra mile for her. Regardless who Harry ended up with, the aftermath would still be the same, as he's been hounded by paparazzi and nasty articles all his life. In 2019, he sued the newspaper company The Mirror for phone hacking after they revealed very personal experiences of his life that no one should have ever found out about. These stories were specifically from 1995 to 2011, and they managed to get information about his family, their relationship, his time in the military, and even stuff about his ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy. The newspaper's representatives said they once hired a private investigator to gain intel, and other methods were done within the law. Harry did lose the case with lack of evidence, but he did receive an apology from them and other local publishing companies. At number 2, we have how their relationship is always serious. So why would anyone want to be in a boring relationship? People think that just because of their status and all the drama that comes with marrying into royalty, there's no time for joy. They have their responsibilities, but they have fun too sometimes. Remember that Lakers game I mentioned earlier? That was actually a date, because why else would they go to it? They were spotted in the arena, and like many celebrities, their presence was captured and made known to the rest of the audience. They were shown on the jumbotrons, they were part of the evening's kiss cam, and that's all there was to it. A few months ago, they attended a charity gala where they were awarded an award for their philanthropy. On stage, Harry made a joke about how he thought they were there for a date night. Then he turned to the audience and said, "We don't get out much because our kids are so small and young, so this is completely unexpected. It's nice to share date night with all of you. Thank you for coming." Meghan joined in on the joke and thanked him for taking her out, and this just goes to show that their marriage isn't all formal and interviews. They can have fun too. And finally, at number 1, we have his father-in-law. Meghan and her father's relationship was a constant debate. She would describe their relationship as strained, while others on his side of the family said they were close. Nonetheless, Thomas Markle made headlines when he was caught staging photos for the paparazzi. He was famous by association and was willing to participate in this odd photo shoot for the British press. CCTV footage at an internet cafe caught Thomas meeting up with his photographer Jeff Rayner. One of the photos included candid shots of him looking at a picture of Meghan and his son-in-law. Who would even use that picture? It's so obviously staged. It's unclear if he was paid for this or not, but some of the photos were sold for up to £100,000, so I wouldn't be surprised if they promised him a cut of their profits. Later, he did sue Jeff and his media company for publishing photos without his approval, which apparently went against their signed contract. So with all this, is marrying into royalty really worth it? Seems like they're constantly battling it out with the media to uphold their version of their fairy tale ending.
A new tell-all book has just been released that gives readers an in-depth behind-the-scenes look at the royal family. With a central focus around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, authors Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand unpack the secrets hidden in the royal couple's relationship. The book is called Finding Freedom: Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family, if you want to check it out. The origin of this book has become a bit of a hot topic of debate as well. You see, the authors claim that they obtained all of their information by conducting over 100 interviews with those who know Harry and Meghan best, and even some Buckingham Palace aides. That being said, Palace insiders believe that the book was sanctioned by Harry and Meghan, which is being billed as the truth behind their departure from the royal family. Setting aside as to whether or not that they had any say in the book, it certainly brought a lot of things to light about their life as members of the royal family. Harry and Meghan actually met on a blind date that took place at Soho House's Dean Street townhouse in London. A source in the palace told the authors that they chatted over drinks for nearly 3 hours before going their separate ways. Almost immediately though, they were obsessed with one another, and Harry apparently appeared to be in a trance of some sort after his date. Meghan had checked off every box for Harry, and he knew that they would be together even after that one date. Due to how high profile Prince Harry's life is though, he and Meg had to do a lot of very secretive dates to avoid any negative publicity. Like, I read that they got walked in through a back door into a restaurant and they had to shut the whole place down. Craziness. Once they became a public couple though, it would become expressly clear as to why they hid their relationship for so long. You see, in the early days of their romance, Prince Harry had gifted Meghan with a 14-karat gold chain bearing the initials of H&M. Apparently, this necklace alone sparked a huge controversy behind the castle walls. Like Game of Thrones behind the castle walls. The authors in the book detailed what happened and said she was advised that wearing such a necklace only served to encourage the photographers to keep pursuing such images and new headlines. When Meghan finally met Harry's brother William, she was worried that he would grill her, but instead William reportedly said that he was looking forward to meeting the woman who had put that silly grin on his brother's face, which is kinda cute. Sadly, Meghan experienced a lot of hatred for the color of her skin, to the point where Harry had to issue a statement that was released by his communications secretary. In part of the statement they said, Prince Harry is worried about Miss Markle's safety and is deeply disappointed that he has not been able to protect her. It is not right that a few months into a relationship with him that Miss Markle should be subjected to such a storm. He knows commentators will say that this is the price that she has to pay and that this is all part of the game. He strongly disagrees. This is not a game, it is her life and his. Harry went on to condemn the racist and sexist abuse that his girlfriend was going through the moment that the relationship went public. His relationship with his brother is a bit tumultuous as well though. According to the book sources, William had told Harry to not feel like he needed to rush this relationship, and apparently that really angered Harry, which some palace insiders believe was an overreaction, and maybe, but who knows, we weren't there. However, it still sums up them as people, with William being the calm and rational one, and Harry being the one who can't help but take things far too personally. Perhaps the most frustrating truth about this couple is the amount of criticism and flack that they get on a daily basis from not just the royal family, but even the staff who work there. For example, the Queen's longtime dresser Angela Kelly was constantly at odds with Harry leading up to the wedding. He was trying to obtain access to Meghan's chosen tiara for a hair trial in advance for the big day, but Angela was constantly dragging her feet. She kept telling him that the Queen was rejecting her choice of tiara, but in reality there was never a disagreement between Meghan and the Queen. Rather, the conflict was just between Harry and Angela. More concerns about the stability of the royal family started to bubble up simply by trying to organize a family photo. The book alleges that Prince William and Prince Harry were not excited to get together for this photo either. A source close to the family said the boys can be hot and cold with their father, calling the planning for the photo an absolute nightmare, adding that neither William nor Harry made much of an effort to make themselves available. Now, if you've been following this couple, then you'll know that both of them have chosen to step away from their royal duties. Again, according to the book, Buckingham Palace had little warning when it came to the details of them announcing that they were stepping down from their royal duties in January. What absolutely flustered the Buckingham Palace aides was that a website had laid out the intricacies of their departure. However, despite having people conspire against them and trying to ruin their relationship from the get-go, the couple are doing just fine now. They've been living in a secluded compound in Los Angeles with their 1-year-old son Archie, while still doing volunteer work in the area delivering meals with Project Angel Food.
And number 10, how Harry proposed. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary definitely has a lot of fans raging over multiple lies shown within seconds of the first episode. Viewers have pointed out that there's been a lot of problems with the pair's tale, on how Prince Harry proposed. In the documentary, Harry would explain that he wanted to propose earlier, however, he had to ask his grandmother for permission and he couldn't do it outside of the UK. Detailing the proposal, he would explain that he brought Meghan into the middle of the walled garden that was overlooked by the staff flat. To prepare for the area, he got on his knees and he got 15 electric candles and placed them around the garden. He also had Meghan's beagle Guy flown in just for the special occasion. He would then have Meghan close her eyes and tell her not to peek just before Meghan even called her friend and whispered that she thought he was actually going to propose to her. Then a series of photos would be shown of the special moment, which showed Harry on one knee holding a ring box in one hand as the dog sat next to him. Meghan then said he was down on one knee, and I was like, yes, we were so joyful and excited. We thought, we're doing this. However, the proposal totally contradicted the past version they told the press in 2017, as Harry claimed that he proposed to the Duchess in the kitchen on a standard typical night in their cottage. However, even by the third episode, Meghan would even admit that their engagement was rehearsed for the press. At number 9, we have ex-girlfriend cut out of a photo. Since Netflix released the first 3 episodes of the Duke and Duchess documentary series, Harry and Meghan's fans have been analyzing every single photo and video shown. However, the fans noticed something really weird about one of the photos. While some of the manipulations of photos were small, it's clear that the couple were trying to look vulnerable, and the photos and videos were planted to help them achieve sympathy from the public. With the couple trying to say that they had already been hounded by the public, a photo of younger Harry would be shown, and in the photo you could see that he has his hands covering his face from the paparazzi cameras. Although it looks like in the photo that the prince is completely on his own, thanks to some good cropping, fans would point out that they've seen this photo before, as the photo initially also featured Harry's ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy. Now, the photo in question was taken in September of 2007 at Heathrow Airport, and while the photo is cropped, it featured Harry with a protective arm around Chelsea, who was walking by his side, despite the original picture showing Harry with his ex-partner. It makes us wonder why Netflix producers cropped Chelsea out of the frame entirely. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, Netflix photographer. While Meghan and Harry are claiming the press has been leaking and planting stories about them, the real dirty game here is the fact that they tried to convince everyone that a Netflix photographer was a paparazzi member. A lot of you have been pointing out a lot of fake photos, including Evening Standard's royal editor Robert Jobson, as he's even criticized one of the dramatic shots in a photo that could be seen of a photographer's lens peering down on the couple with their newborn child. The couple would try to claim that it was someone following them. However, Robert has insisted that the photo was taken with their approval by an accredited press photographer at Archbishop Tutu's residence in Cape Town. Only 3 people were accredited in this position. And you might be wondering, how did Robert know that there was only 3 people hired by the couple? Well, it's because he was there and he was one of those people. The filming of Archie at the residence was highly controlled, and it wasn't the scum media following them. And number 7, press intrusion. The issue with majority of the docu-series is that Meghan and Harry have claimed that there was a large amount of press intrusion. When it came to the couple, however, a lot of it was actually approved by themselves or their aides. However, if you watch the series, you can definitely agree that there was footage that was flipped to give different angles to make Meghan and Harry appear as victims that fell into the hands of the paparazzi. The whole series gives us an impression that photographers covertly snapped the family at all times. However, witnesses and staff have come out to say that most of these photographers had actually been granted official access in advance so they could capture some sweet photos of the family. With the use of phony photos, Harry and Meghan even tried to convince us that they were all blindsided by the media consistently, when that wasn't even the case. Even if it felt like press intrusion to the couple, even if it was approved by Netflix, they have declined to comment on suggestions that a lot of the footage was misleading. But it's definitely for sure that the couple was smart by making the documentary with Netflix, is because they weren't bound by UK's broadcast standard codes, so they were allowed to use materials to mislead the audience. So with more episodes to still be released, we're definitely going to see a lot more manipulated stock images to illustrate the idea that the family was stalked by the paparazzi, which just isn't the case. And number 6, Harry Potter press photo. If we learned anything watching the first 3 episodes of the trailer, it was that the magic of editing can make anyone believe anything. However, when we all saw one certain black and white photograph, we all realized that the image of the paparazzi was taken out of context to portray the paparazzi as aggressive when it comes to the royal couple. However, the actual image was actually taken at a final Harry Potter premiere in 2011. However, when the photo appeared in both the trailer and the series, while Harry was saying he was trying to protect his family, he was implying that he was trying to protect his family from the press, and that this is a huge group paparazzi that was actually following them and his family. However, this premiere took place way before the couple even met. It's actually kind of embarrassing that Harry and Meghan would use this photo to kind of claim that they were being stalked by the paparazzi, as the photo actually came from a Harry Potter premiere that happened way before they even met. Also, I think it's worth mentioning, no member of the British royal family was even present at the 2011 premiere of Harry Potter, meaning that this photo shouldn't even been shown in the first place, as it has no context to. And number 5, not knowing who Harry was. What hasn't changed is that Meghan is still claiming she had no idea who Prince Harry was. In the very first episodes, it explored the early days of Prince Harry and Meghan's relationship, and the couple would reveal that they met in July of 2016. When Meghan posted a picture with her friend, they would call Meghan and say, "Between you and I thought you might want to know that being newly single and all, I put our Snapchat on Instagram and Prince follows me. He called me last night and he wants to meet you. Might have to set you up." However, Meghan had no idea who the prince was before the day, and she's been claiming for a while now that she never did any research on the Queen or her relatives ahead of meeting Harry. However, it was definitely all a lie, because it's been proven that Meghan was actually obsessed with Princess Diana. She even had books about her, and she was already acquainted with one of the York girls through Soho House. So to say that she had no idea and knew nothing about the royals had to be one of the biggest lies Meghan told. And number 4, race claims. Now, this document definitely laid out some new allegations about Harry's family's disapproval of Meghan due to the color of her skin. However, a lot of people aren't buying her claims of racism, because in the beginning, let's face it, everyone loved Meghan, including the press, until it started to surface how Harry and Meghan were mean to castle staff and how they even made one secretary quit due to their rude behavior. And then the whole world, including the palace, started to turn on them. One expert, Angela Lavin, joined TMZ on Monday to break down the new trailer for Harry's and Meghan's new documentary, and she explained that the whole situation was just one giant BS story told from the Sussex's point of view to manipulate the world. Angela noted that she suspects that the couple keeps playing the racism card without pointing any fingers at anyone in the royal family, and without hard evidence, it's clear that it's all a lie. Harry has even said that there's been hierarchy of the family, and he claimed that they were always leaking stories about Meghan and him to support the family's ongoing conflict against Meghan. However, the real reason the family didn't approve of Meghan was because she was extremely rude to everyone, and there's even been clips posted by Daily Royal News where it showed Meghan being extremely rude to the Queen. And let's not forget all the staff leaking stories to the media about how they were treated by her. And number 3, Donald Trump's ex-lawyer. So now that the first 3 episodes of Harry's and Meghan's long-awaited Netflix documentary has finally been released, it has come under fire for using a lot of misleading videos and pictures. Also, let's not forget a lot of people even stopped watching the series 11 minutes in because they were super sick of all the BS stories that it was giving. One short clip that was meant to highlight the couple's continuous relationship with the media is actually a stock photo of Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, getting into a vehicle to be transported to prison on May 6, 2019. In the footage shown in the trailer, you could see the cameras around the limo before it cut to a very tearful Meghan. However, experts would then point out that Meghan wasn't actually in the vehicle. Meghan and Harry are clearly impatient, and instead of trying to gather strong evidence to support their claims, they would try to manipulate footage to put blame on the royal family, and that just isn't right. And number 2, footage of Katie Price. While in the beginning of Harry's and Meghan's documentary, it definitely sparked fear among some of the royal family, as they were scared to see what Harry and Meghan would come up with that would damage the image of the family. However, with a bunch of exposed lies, all this film did was make the public hate Harry and Meghan even more. I think a lot of us raised our eyebrows when we spotted footage which appears to have come from Katie Price's court appearance. While Katie hasn't made a full comment of the clip, she did share a screenshot of a news report revealing that the footage was used from from her trial onto her Instagram story, revealing that she indeed did spot the footage. Viewers have had a lot of mixed responses to spotting the moment in the trailer, with some even asking Netflix why they use so much misleading images and clips to mislead the public. One user even said, "What the heck, Netflix? This enrages me that you're using so many fake images to stoke feelings. Shame on you." And at number 1 today, they're the only ones that know the truth. Now, if you watch the trailer or the 3 episodes, then you know throughout the whole thing the couple has been trying to claim that they are the only ones that know their truth. However, their truth would definitely be exposed for the lies it was full of. After watching the 3 clips today, fans have already taken to the internet to start reviews, and a lot of them have been pretty sarcastic. When Harry and Meghan claim that there is a hierarchy of the family, a lot of us had a good chuckle. One user even wrote, "I love the part when after spending 39 years in the royal family, Harry realizes that there is a hierarchy." Netflix would also try to crop a photo of the royal family when they appeared on a balcony on Buckingham Palace. The photo was placed to look like Prince William and Kate Middleton were in the center of the photo. However, a newspaper noticed that the arrangement of the family that day is not as it seems, as it's actually Queen Elizabeth II that was in the center of the photo before it was cropped. In the aftermath of all these accusations, it's certain that the royal watchers will be closely dissecting and scrutinizing all of the footage to come, so more lies will definitely be released soon. However, the fact that Harry and Meghan were so determined to tell their truth that they were able to time travel to a Harry Potter premiere in 2011 and even be visited by Queen Mary in 1938, it was so courageous, and the fact that they thought they could use these facts to stand up to those that called them liars is truly concerning. And number 10, Princess Diana. In the first episode that was revealed to viewers, Harry would go on to compare Meghan to Princess Diana. Harry would go on to say so much of what Meghan is so similar to his mom. She has the same compassion and she has the same empathy. She has the same confidence, she shares this warmth about her, and the episode would feature footage that was shown of William and Harry playing at a piano, and interview footage where you could see Diana talking about her 2 sons. While Harry goes on to say that the only thing he could remember about his childhood was that it was filled with laughter, happiness, and adventure, he would also mention that he didn't have any early memories of his mom, and it was almost like he internally sort of blocked him out, but all he could remember is her cheeky laugh and that she was always telling him that he could get into some trouble, but he had to be careful that he didn't get caught doing it. While Diana passed away, Harry was just 12 years old, and all the memories he could recall of his mother was being swarmed by the paparazzi, and that his advice was that he was given by the family to deal with the paparazzi was not to react and not to give into it. And number 9, the curtsy. In the second episode, Harry would describe how Meghan was when meeting the Queen for the first time. He described it as being a shock to the system. With the Queen being the first member of the royal family to meet Meghan, Harry waited until the absolute last moment to let Meghan know that she would be meeting the Queen. When the pair were in the car going to the royal lodge for lunch, Harry would last minute tell Meghan that his grandmother was here and that they would be going to meet her in the church. Harry would then ask Meghan if she knew how to curtsy, and Meghan at the time thought it was a joke, but I mean, it's the Queen of England, and in every fairy tale movie ever made, it's always taught us that when presented in front of the royal family, you need to bow or curtsy. With Harry trying to explain it was a pretty hard thing to explain to an American how to curtsy, Meghan would go on to try to compare the curtsy to something from medieval times, and she even did a reenactment on how she curtsied in front of the Queen on the camera. While Meghan went on to describe the meeting with the Queen and not understanding the whole curtsy thing, viewers definitely noticed that Harry was looking a little uncomfortable about the whole thing. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, comparing Diana to Meghan. When we all saw Harry compare the paparazzi following Diana to an online harassment faced by his wife Meghan, I don't think any of us really had any sympathy towards the 2 royals, as they both chose to get married and they understood what could come with it. The telling of episode 2 revealed a huge bombshell moment when Harry said, "To see another woman I love going through this feeding frenzy, it's hard." Harry would tell us all how Meghan has been repeatedly targeted by the media and how their relationship basically became hunter versus prey. However, when he tried to compare Meghan to Diana by saying, "Back when my mom was harassed by the paparazzi, physical harassment and cameras in your face, people chasing you, paparazzi still harasses people, but now the harassment exists more online. I think we can all agree that the harassment Meghan has received from the media is nothing like the harassment Diana faced. I get it, once the photographs came out, the media was out to get another story. While Meghan has gone through a huge feeding frenzy with the media, so has every other royal family member. However, considering that the two hired media to capture certain aspects, especially with their son, it's hard to say whether the two are telling the truth or not when it comes to the media. And number 7, the first date. According to both Harry and Meghan, the first date was at 76 Dean Street, which is the location of Soho House in London. Meghan would explain that she was really nervous and sort of panicking because Harry was late and she couldn't understand why he was late. With the Duchess worried about Harry being one of those guys with an ego who makes women sit around waiting, when he arrived she could see that he was genuinely embarrassed for being late. Meghan would also describe Harry as being fun, refreshing, and that she would note that they are pretty much like children together, and considering they walked away from royal duties, we could all agree we saw that they were children together before they even told us. The couple's first date lasted an hour, and then they had a good chat before leaving. And later on that evening, Meghan would even call him to ask him to go out for dinner with her before she had to leave the next day, and they had dinner at the same place they had their first date the next night. The couple then showed us a never before seen photo of the date where you can see Meghan snuggling into Harry's arm, and this was the exact moment Harry would notice that this woman was amazing and everything he was looking for, as Meghan met everything he was looking for on his extensive list. And number 6, Halloween with Eugene and Jack. With Meghan and Harry trying to explain that there was a hierarchy when it came to the royal family, and that it was hard fitting in with the royals when the couple shared never before seen photos as they partied with Princess Eugene and Jack's Brooksbank on Halloween in their new Netflix documentary. The two would reveal that they both went out in Halloween costumes with Harry's cousins and her then boyfriend for a final night out before their relationship was revealed on Ellen. In the first episode of the series, the couple would go on to share their night out with a couple of snaps that showed us how fun the royal couple was having as they were all crowded together to gather a couple of snaps. Not everyone in the family asked the couple out, and some did enjoy actually hanging out with them. While all the snaps showed us the playful side of the royal family could have behind closed doors, it also showed us how not all the British family lived behind closed doors with a certain formality, and that not all Brits found it pretty jarring to hug. While the couple snuck out in Halloween costumes to have one final night out before the world came to know that they were a couple, they definitely had a wild night out in their bizarre costumes. And number 5, Harry on Meg exit day. In the opening scenes of the documentary, Harry is shown at Heathrow Airport by himself in March of 2020. This footage would come after the Meg exit crisis as he prepared to leave the UK for the last time as a senior royal. Harry would then say, "This is about duty and service, and I feel as though being a part of this family is my duty to uncover this exploitation of bribery that happens within our media." The cameras would then cut to Meghan by herself in Vancouver wearing a towel on her head saying, "Unfortunately, in us standing for something, they are destroying us." With the few dated clips, it suggests that the couple were already thinking about telling their story before they even exited from the royal family. Now, there's always been reports that the couple were going to play and exploit their royal status early on, and that the fact they clearly wanted to use some of this footage at some point. The couple's knowledge of the royal family essentially ended when they left the country and the institution, but that hasn't stopped them from trying to dig up more information to make their truth come to life. Number 4, Buckingham Palace. With the series beginning with a written statement on a black background saying it is a first-hand account on Harry and Meghan's story being told with never before seen personal archives. We would later come to know that a lot of the footage and photos were manipulated to make their stories seem stronger than they already were. However, it would go on to say that in all the interviews, they were finished by August of 2022, and the members of the royal family declined to comment on the content within the series, which makes sense because they have been worried for months about how all this information could be very damaging to the family's overall image. Harry's father, King Charles, his brother, Prince William, along with their wives, Camilla and Kate, are not expected to watch the series. However, royal aides will be tasked with closely monitoring the output and dissecting all the images and footage known so they can consider if it's even worth to respond to and initially figure out how the family should respond to Harry and Meghan's claims. With the king and the royal family carrying on with their royal duties as normal, the palace sources have come out to deny all the claims made against the family in the Netflix series. With the royal family not expected to issue a formal statement on the show, the family now braces down as they wait for the final episodes of the series to be released. And we're all wondering what other lies and revelations might soon be exposed. proposed. And number 3, the media. Throughout the episode, it's clear that Meghan and Harry can't stop claiming that the media has been trying to find a way to destroy Meghan, even if she's did so much to be good. In episode 2 of Harry's and Meghan's 6-part docu-series appeared a link to the European Union referendum to culture war in the UK at the time of their engagement in 2017. When the couple gathered enough courage to speak about the press coverage of Meghan, Meghan would finally say, at one point, she was still much believing that everything would just pass and it would get better. It's just what they do, right? At the very beginning. With the royal family promising the couple that once they were married, they wouldn't have to worry anymore because things would get better. Once the media got used to Meghan, it would all get better. The truth be told, no matter how hard Meghan tried to fit in with the royal family, no matter how hard she tried to please the press, and no matter what Meghan did to please both sides, everyone was still looking for ways to destroy her. However, claims were pretty much absurd. In the documentary, both Harry and Meghan would try to accuse the media of wanting to destroy Meghan, with her claiming that the stories were vicious and that they were planted by the press. The idea that anyone was out to destroy her was frankly absurd. It's quite obvious that they think they were the victims, but it's more obvious that the royal family became victims to the lie told by the two in the documentary. And number 2, Archie has an American accent. As part of the Netflix program, it would show Archie speaking to Harry and Meghan with an American accent. In the first 3 episodes shown of the bombshell docu-series, it would offer the world an insight into Meghan and Harry's family life in California, and it would show us glimpses of Archie and also some images of their 18-month-old daughter, with some of these images and footages revealing Archie's favorite song is Benny in the Jets by Elton John. In episode 2, there would be a longer clip of Archie looking at hummingbirds with his parents. Archie, who is shown at the bottom of the frame in the video, is chatting with his parents, and in the clip he could be heard chatting to them with an American accent. With both parents doing everything they could to make the world a better place for their 2 children, it has become equally as important for the 2 of them to make sure that they didn't make the same mistakes that their parents made with them. And at number 1 today, we have the parents' divorce. When Harry decided to share information about his parents' divorce, he would share with all of us that he was pulled from one place to another, and it was actually quite damaging on him. Speaking in episode 2 about the divorce, Harry would say, I think most kids who are the product of divorced parents have a lot in common no matter what's your background. Being pulled from one place to another, or maybe your parents are competitive and you're no longer just in one place that you want to be in. You're in another place less than you want to be in, and there's all sorts of pieces to that. Meghan would also recall her impact that separation of her parents had on her as she was a child, as she would have to vent her frustrations through a school assignment when she was just 12 years old. Meghan even wrote a poem that she would share with the documentary. 2 houses, 2 homes, 2 kitchen, 2 phones. 2 couches where I lay, 2 places that I stay. Moving here and there, from Monday to Friday, I'm everywhere. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but oftentimes it makes me sad. I want to live that nuclear life with a happy dad and loving wife, a picket fence, a shaggy dog, a fireplace with a burning log. But it's not real, it's just a dream. I cannot cry or even scream. So I sit here with cat number 3. Life would be easy if there were 2 of me. With both understanding the pain divorce can leave behind on a child, it's probably why the couple connected so well on their first date. Coming in number 10, we have the raunchy car scene from Beverly Hills 90210. If there was one scene Harry wished he never saw, it would be the one that came 2 years after Meghan Markle left her Deal or No Deal gig. She would make a cameo in the hit series Beverly Hills 90210 for a pretty raunchy car scene with a high school hunk. When the former actress appeared in the premiere episode of the Beverly Hills 90210 reboot, which aired in 2008, her character was caught getting frisky in the front seat of a car with co-star Dustin Milligan, who played Ethan. Her character Wendy and Ethan were seen enjoying their intimate moment in broad daylight before being caught by Annie Wilson, who played Shanae Grimes. Annie is particularly shocked as Ethan already has a girlfriend, Naomi Clark, who is played by Annalyn McCord. Since the clip has resurfaced, many people have been calling Markle a hypocrite as she left one bimbo gig for another. Markle was reportedly hesitant to reenact the scene for the role, but despite wanting a career that didn't objectify women years earlier, she would book the gig anyways. Markle would then claim that she quit Deal or No Deal in 2006 because she didn't like being objectified by sucking in her stomach and wearing fake lashes and hair extensions. Meghan alleged her experience has since caused an uproar uproar over her treatment. As that's TV, what did you think was going to happen? You know, that's what the show was, and that's probably why Harry is having a hard time after watching these scenes. Number 9. The bedroom scene in Random Encounters. One of the scenes Harry wasn't so particular about when it came to Meghan's former acting career would come years earlier before her relationship with Prince Harry, and it would actually be the role that thrusted her into the spotlight. The role in question was when Meghan was given the part in a little-known film called Random Encounters. The scenes from the 2013 rom-com show featured Meghan being shown slipping into silky lingerie, and then she would be seen having an intimate moment with a male co-star. While in character, Meghan would then be set to play Mindy, who was known to be a bed-hopping party girl. In one particular raunchy scene, Meghan could be seen undressing her co-star Michael as her character was trying to make a move in the dimly lit apartment. After the show was first released in the US, the movie would then be released on DVD in the UK for the first time in May of 2018, less than 2 weeks before Meghan was set to marry Prince Harry on their wedding day. Well, I can only guess this was when Harry first watched the scene. This doesn't throw you red flags that maybe you shouldn't be marrying someone, then I don't know what else to say. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Meghan cheating. So back in November, the tabloids report that a divorce may be headed towards Prince Harry and Meghan Markle shortly. However, considering that the two enjoy being miserable together, it seems pretty unlikely at this point. The new scandal at the English royal court would reveal that Harry would receive a call from Archie's school after his wife hadn't shown up to pick him up. Meghan apparently forgot about Archie because she was too busy doing something else with her bodyguard, Chris Sanchez. And the incident would leave Prince Harry furious, at least. Soon there would then be also a photo which has not been released yet, and the photo, sources would say, you could see Prince Harry, who had just returned home with his 2 children, lashing out at Meghan, who was hysterical and would say several times that she wanted to divorce him immediately. And while this could just be a rumor, it's kind of hard to believe that the story isn't true, since she once cheated on Canadian chef Corey Vitiello and wouldn't even break up with him until after news outlets reported that she was dating Prince Harry. So I'll let you do the math and decide if Meghan really cheated or not. Number 7, the steamy kiss with her colleague in Suits. Now before Meghan got with Prince Harry, she got her first big role in the show Suits. And while it may have been a big role for the actress, many still don't know what Suits is because, let's face it, the show was filmed in Canada and many people just don't like Canadian films, even though some of them are actually fire. Meghan played paralegal Rachel Zane on the show for 7 seasons from 2011 to 2018, and during the years on the show, the actress was involved in some very steamy scenes that definitely did not sit well with Prince Harry, and I can see why he wished he never googled his wife in the first place to find her secrets. To kick things off, Rachel and her co-star in the 2nd season. Rachel would share a steamy kiss with her colleague Mike Ross, who is played by Patrick J. Adams. The pair were fully aware he was in a relationship with Jenny Griffiths at the time, who happened to be the ex-girlfriend of Mike's old best friend. But that didn't stop Rachel from leaning in for a passionate snog, which happened in a brief look in the eye and an arm grab. Now fans watching wouldn't be particularly surprised by the kiss, as Mike and Rachel had a bunch of steamy moments that gave old fans this hint that the two were going to jump into a relationship at some point. Number 6, daddy issues. Since finding out about Meghan's daddy issues, Prince Harry has been blaming himself, as he feels like he's the reason why Meghan Markle no longer has a relationship with her father, Thomas Markle. In the Harry and Meghan Netflix docu-series, Harry would say, of course, it's incredibly sad what happened. She had a father before this, now she doesn't have a father. I shouldered that, because if Meg wasn't with me, then her dad would still be her dad. It's amazing what people will do when offered a huge amount of money, $50,000, $100,000, to hand over photographs to create a story. Thank God, most of them said no. After Thomas originally made headlines in 2018, he ultimately didn't attend his daughter's wedding, and just days before the ceremony, he would announce that he was unable to fly to England to attend. Following Harry and Meghan's big move to the United States, the former actress would then also know that she lost her father after becoming a royal, as her father had the inability to tell her the truth about the paparazzi photos. Finding out about Meghan's broken relationship with her family definitely had a huge impact on Harry, as he feels responsible that he is the reason behind her family icing her out, and it's been a huge impact for him to deal with. Number 5, the X-rated romp in the office scenes in Suits. When Mike Ross and Rachel Zane finally had their first official date on Suits, it would end up with the two having a pretty sizzling moment in Pearson Hardman Legal Library, where Mike strips Rachel down to her underwear in the throes of passion. Meghan's and Patrick J. Adams' characters stripped off as they got hot and sweaty in the most raunchy scene during the second season. The sizzling scene in episode 16 was probably one of the most iconic moments in Suits, as it was the moment we all were waiting for. And I understandably can see why maybe Harry wanted to never see this scene personally, because the chemistry in this scene alone was enough to send any partner into a frenzy of worry that there was something happening, not just on screen, but there might have been something happening behind the screen as well. The scene was so saucy, it was probably one of the most widely shared clips of the series, and it would be unearthed once again after Meghan and Harry started dating, as no one really wanted to believe Meghan would end up with anyone other than Patrick. That's probably why a lot of fans didn't support her relationship with Harry to begin with. Number 4, Family Feud. The humiliation for Meghan and Harry really started after Meghan started to speak against the royal family, and at this point it seems like Harry would just do anything to forget Meghan even started the battle with his family in the first place. If Meghan never told Harry that she was fighting with his family or having a tough time, they would probably still be in the royal family doing their royal duties, but instead, now they're being iced out completely. At the height of their feud with the royal family, they have unleashed almost all their darkest secrets, and their Netflix documentary has been described as being a great portrayal. With the two playing a part to gain sympathy, what we really ended up witnessing is a narcissistic, egotistical, privileged outpouring of a couple that is bent on getting revenge. Shamefully, it seems like Meghan has cornered Prince Harry to throw his brother, father, and even his grandmother under a big red double-decker bus just so he can make his wife happy. However, it's clear that Harry is miserable and he just wants his family back. In Harry's new book, he would speak about various incidents and issues that he perceived that have caused the irreparable relationship between his father, brother, him, and Meghan. Because of Meghan, Harry has turned his family life into an episode of the Kardashians. While Harry may want his family back, if Meghan never told him how she felt about his family, he probably wouldn't be in the situation he is today, and he would still be in their lives. But Americans make things so dramatic for no reason whatsoever. Coming in number 3, we have the sizzling scene in the bedroom in Suits. In the early days of Meghan's relationship, Harry definitely made the worst mistake of all when he looked up one particularly sizzling scene in the bedroom from the show Suits. The scene would scare Harry so much that he even made a joke that he needed to undergo electric shock therapy just to burn the images from his brain. It's clear that Meghan and Patrick, during any of the scenes, they had passionate and a playful time together. And while it's been said that Harry lusted over her for 2 years before they actually met, as he was a big fan of the show, imagine dating someone who had such a powerful connection with their co-star. In this particular saucy scene from the hit series Suits, Mike and Rachel spiced things up in the bedroom when Mike began to run his fingers up Meghan's leg before the pair playfully slipped under the sheets in a suggestive manner. It really didn't take two to figure out what was actually going on. However, before things got a little too racy, the actress stopped him and the pair just began flirting and kissing. Rachel's love story with Mike has been a big draw for fans across all 7 seasons she was on the show for, and it was a long road that was filled with drama and emotion. Every snog left us all memorized, and as the show went on, the two just turned up their flirty banter and neck kisses, and just the cheeky charm alone was enough to make anyone's heart flutter. Number 2, mental health struggles. One thing has been clear is Prince Harry really wishes his wife didn't tell him about her mental health struggles because he really didn't know how to deal with it. In Volume 2, Episode 4 in the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan, the Duchess would recall having some really dark thoughts surrounding her life while at the height of her tensions with the rest of the royal family, and it consists of attacks from the British press, and Prince Harry would go on to say that he wishes he could go back in time and change the way he reacted to Meghan's mental health struggles when they were still living as senior royals, because he really didn't know how to help her. Meghan's depression battle would remind Harry of what he saw happen to his own mother, Princess Diana, who openly struggled with her mental health while working as a senior royal, and it upset him even more because he didn't stop it before it escalated. Harry would go on to say that he was devastated because he knew she was struggling and that he never thought it would get to that stage, and when it did get to that stage and Meghan told him about it, he just felt really angry and ashamed. While Harry has also admitted that he thought he understood Meghan's struggle, he also feels as though he was blinded by his commitment to royal duties at the time, so he didn't give Meghan the support she needed, and since the prince really hasn't been dealing with it particularly well. And number 1 today we have the passionate embrace in Suits. So the protagonist love interest Meghan played in Suits has caused her husband to discuss and express his discomfort after seeing her X-rated scenes, with Harry saying that he witnessed her and her castmate mauling each other in some sort of office or conference room. He really didn't need to see such things live. In season 5 footage from the show Suits, it would show Meghan wearing a skimpy little black slip as she engaged in a passionate embrace with her on-screen boyfriend Mike Ross. The unearthed footage would then show Meghan's character Rachel Zhang cozying up to her on-screen boyfriend Mike between the sheets. While Meghan laid in the bed wearing the skimpy black slip, she can also be seen chatting to her on-screen lover in the bed before they became entangled in a passionate embrace. With Harry's new book opening up about his life and giving new insights to the royal family, it's clear that Harry might just not trust Meghan because of her saucy scenes with her co-star, and he may be left feeling worried that his wife had feelings for another man, but it seems like he was able to get these images out of his head since Patrick, after all, was in the front row at their wedding. Coming in number 10 we have Prince William. A friend of Prince William recently told the Daily Beast that the prince feels utterly betrayed by Prince Harry's new book Spare, and that he hated Prince Harry and Meghan due to the highly personal nature of the attacks they have unleashed on him and his wife Kate Middleton. After days of sensational leaks and headlines from the book, the friend also said they believe it is now completely impossible that their relationship will ever be healed, and said that although they believed Harry and Meghan will still be invited to the coronation of King Charles and Queen Camilla, they suspected that William would insist they should be relegated to the cheap seats. The friend would also say that even if Harry and Meghan decided not to even show their faces, no one would mourn their absence. The friend would also go on to say it's impossible to exaggerate the extent of William's contempt for Harry and Meghan now. He absolutely hates them and can't believe that Harry would do this to him and Kate. He feels utterly betrayed and deeply saddened by everything that has happened. There will be no way back after this. The thing that is so sad is that it was a tight family and Harry has blown it all up for what? He has literally turned his entire family against him. It seems like Harry and William have been at odds for a while because in the book Spare, Harry talks about how William attacked him and caused Harry to fall on the ground and break a dog bowl. But both Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace not responding to the allegations, it's really clear that they would rather just let this situation fizzle out on its own. Number 9, King Charles. According to various sources, the one who has taken Meghan and Harry's documentary and Harry's book Spare more seriously is King Charles III, who made the determination to confront the issue head on. While sources close to the king have said that he does not plan to go to the British Parliament to ask Prince Harry and Meghan to lose their titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, he will also not appear to the media to criticize the couple, as he plans to do something more decisive, and that is to cut all ties off officially with the couple. King Charles has basically applied the law of ice to his son and his son's wife, and he will no longer be inviting them to family gatherings, whether it be public or private. It's also been reported that the monarch will not be asking them to accompany him on his traditional vacations in Scotland as Queen Elizabeth II did, and on top of that, they will also not be invited to this year's coronation ceremony of King Charles, which takes place on May 6, 2023. This decision will also affect Harry and Meghan's children, as they will no longer be welcome to participate in royal and religious celebrations. While it's known that Charles hates confrontation, during his first speech in a television interview after the passing of his mother, he would say, "Harry and Meghan, we send you our love, but you know, love has been spurned." Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, Howard Stern. Howard Howard Stern isn't a big fan of Prince Harry, and he has a lot to say with Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan. With Howard stating that the couple in the series came off as such whiny bees, the radio show host on Sirius XM show would say, "I gotta tell you, man, I just don't get it." And honestly, I'm with Howard on this one because I don't get it either. Despite his criticism, Howard would state that he sympathizes with Harry over the loss of his mother, Princess Diana, as the palace treated her really poorly, and Harry lost her at such a young age after watching her battle with this hate. But he would also state, "But Jesus Christ, when those two, Harry and Meghan, start whining about wah 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 wah, they don't like me, and Meghan wants to be loved in this country, it's just weird to see two people who keep screaming, we wanted our privacy, we wanted the press to leave us alone, and then what is their special that they put on Netflix, showing you them and their kids and their life?" Howard would then note that the docuseries was like the Kardashians, except it was pretty boring to watch. Howard would then also take time to throw a jab at Harry's relationship by saying, "I think he's eventually not gonna dig her, I'm telling you." Number 7, Bethenny Frankel. Bethenny Frankel's legit rant included the suggestion that Harry and Meghan should make a documentary about women's issues and racism instead of retelling their story about the royal family, and she also didn't hold back when it came to sharing her thoughts on Prince Harry's new memoir, as she thinks the Duke of Sussex has taken it a step too far. Bethenny said, "It's too late to change the name of Harry's book to Dirty Harry Laundry. I mean, if I had a nickel for every person who had a throwdown with a family member, brother, it's crazy. How much more?" In a video, the former Real House of New York City star went on to suggest that a better name for the book would be her own Bravo catchphrase, mentioning it all, while predicting how intimate Harry and Meghan were going to get about their lives in the future. Bethenny would also go on to ask what the couple's overall goal was to achieve. As they have money, they're getting the attention they didn't want, but at the same time, they're getting the attention they did want. She would also note that if they wanted to tackle women's issues and racism, they should have made a docuseries about that, but it seems like the biggest topic Harry and Meghan can't stop talking about is their family. It seems like her biggest problem is that Harry keeps trying to get sympathy for Meghan, but the way he and Meghan are going about it is just achieving opposite results. Number 6, Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton has been completely silent about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary, but apparently she's pretty hurt and feels betrayed. An inside source has confirmed that Kate's husband, William, isn't planning to give his side of the story or openly retaliate, and this whole thing is remaining dignified and getting on with the job. But Kate feels hurt and betrayed that Harry would do this to her, especially as the pair used to be so close. In Harry's book Spare, he would write that both Kate and Prince William were allegedly religious suit watchers, and that they were both in disbelief when he started dating Meghan. However, it seems like when Meghan became his fiance and joined their Fab Four, things would take a sour turn, with Harry implying that William felt pressure to marry Kate because she fit into this mold by saying, "For so many people in the family, especially obviously men, there can be temptation or an urge to marry someone who would fit into the mold, as opposed to somebody who you're perhaps destined to be with. The difference between making decisions with your head or your heart. My mom certainly made most of her decisions, if not all of them, with her heart, and I am my mother's son." And to hear this must have really hurt Kate, so I don't blame her and the rest of the royal family for icing Prince Harry and Meghan out completely. Number 5, Sharon Osbourne. Sharon Osbourne has recently taken aim at Prince Harry for doing a terrible thing by cutting his 3-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter off from the rest of their family. On an episode of Talk TV, the outspoken media personality and her panel discussed the trailers of Harry's bombshell TV interviews, which aired in the US and the UK on Sunday. During the debate, Sharon would say it was such an ugly situation for the children whose ties with the extended family have been cut because of Meghan and Harry's rift with the royal family. Sharon would go on to note, "It's finally enough, as families argue all the time. And there is nothing like a good old family bust up, and then you get back together again, it's normal. But what's not normal is Harry's children, as they will now be forced to grow up with no family, not on his wife's side or his side, and that's a terrible thing for children." Sharon would then claim that the time is now turning against Harry and Meghan in the United States, and it seems like only the younger generation is continuing to support them by saying, "I think older generations Owens have definitely had it up to here with their whining. Number 4. Jeremy Clarkson. Former Top Gear host Jeremy Clarkson has never been more sensitive of souls. The TV personality has built a career of offending pretty much every minority group, so it wasn't really surprising that he didn't think much of Prince Harry, barring his soul in his docu-series in 2021. Jeremy would say, "This man is an army officer, so he should know better than to make a program in which he waxes lyrical about the awfulness of his upbringing." Jeremy would then add, "The me you can't see is wit, and it should really be called the me you don't want to see, as that's nearer to the mark." He then put forward the theory that spoiled brats will end up overshadowing those individuals who seriously need help with their mental health. Jeremy would then claim that Harry's stiff upper lip approach has to work wonders. It's clear that Jeremy thinks Harry should know better than to complain about his upbringing, and Harry also calling out Jeremy for inciting violence towards women in cruel columns in The Sun, dreaming of Meghan shame parade. It's clear that the two have a mutual hate towards each other, and it's clear that Jeremy also didn't like the docu-series, as he took to his column in The Sun and wished Meghan was treated like dirt. And while he did take to Twitter to apologize for his clumsy reference, he wouldn't apologize to Harry and Meghan. We'll probably never see that. Number 3, we have Candace Owens. Conservative commentator Candace Owens has never been one to mince her words, so it wasn't really unexpected that she would deliver one of the most scathing responses to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's talk with Oprah Winfrey. After watching the interview, Candace would put forward this theory that Harry was in an emotionally abusive relationship. Candace would then go on to imply that the couple, implying that everything was happening to them because of the color of Meghan's skin, was becoming a sickening level of scapegoating. What Harry's doing to his family is unforgivable. Candace would throw a major dig at Harry following the premiere of his Apple TV docu-series The Me You Can't See by referring the mental health docu-series. Candace would say in a tweet, "It's been 3 days since Prince Harry offered an exclusive interview regarding of how much he and Meghan hate his family. Can someone check on them, please?" Number 2, Piers Morgan. One can argue that Piers Morgan has a personal vendetta against Meghan Markle, which appears to stem solely from the time she apparently ghosted him after a date. However, it's clear that he doesn't really like Harry whatsoever as well, as Prince Harry is regularly ends up in the crosshairs of the disgraced ex-newspaper editor. In the space of just 1 month in 2021, Morgan went on a rant and claimed that the royal only criticized the First Amendment because he doesn't want to be held accountable by the press, and Piers would also tweet that Harry is a hypocrite who makes money off his public family drama. Piers would then offer his support to Noel Gallagher in his anti-Harry tirade. Of course, Morgan has also had plenty of time to weigh in on the Sussexes in general, since he walked away from his hosting gig on TV show Good Morning Britain Live after a fellow presenter challenged his constant harassment of Markle. However, after walking away, it's only given him more freedom to support his dislike towards both Harry and Meghan, and some of the things he said proves that he doesn't just have a personal vendetta towards Meghan, he hates both of the royals. And number 1 today, we have Noel Gallagher. During the peak of Britpop era, Noel Gallagher was deemed by many, including Prime Minister Tony Blair, to be the voice of his generation. Indeed, even if you weren't a fan of the Oasis Beatle aping indie rock, you could always appreciate a snappy one-liner from their guitarist Noel Gallagher. But a quarter century on, and Noel was in danger of sounding like the kind of person he used to rally against. In a 2021 interview with The Sun, Noel would describe Prince Harry as an effing woke snowflake in response to his criticism of the royal family, and referencing his own sibling rivalry with Liam Gallagher. Noel would admit that he sympathizes with Prince William, as he has a younger brother who is running his mouth off with things that are just really unnecessary to say, and that's why Noel finds himself being a lot like William. Noel has never been afraid to take a good jab at Meghan as well, as he would also say that everything is happening right now is happening because they got an American involved in their family matters. He would then ask viewers, how much of a C is Prince Harry? Coming in number 10 today, we have John Oliver. It seems like now that Meghan Markle and Harry have come out to speak their truth in their new documentary series, Meghan and Harry, a chillingly accurate clip of John Oliver warning Meghan Markle has started to resurface again. Back in 2018, Stephen Colbert would be left feeling slightly surprised when John Oliver wasn't excited about the then upcoming royal wedding between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And 5 years later, the video is actually starting to make a lot of sense. Following the CBS special, an old late night show clip featuring John giving Meghan a persistent warning by saying, "I would not blame her if she pulled out at last minute. I don't think you need to just see the pilot episode of The Crown to get a basic sense that she might be marrying into a family that could cause some emotional complications. I mean, they're an emotionally stunted group of fundamentally flawed people doing a very silly pseudo job. That's what she's marrying into. So I hope she likes it. It's going to be weird for her." At the time of the interview, John would even note that he wouldn't even want to marry into the royal family himself. But the fact that he warned the public that she might back out, and the fact that she backed out of her royal duties is pretty shocking. That he warned us about this and then she married into the royal family anyways. Queen Elizabeth II. Even though Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made a trip to the UK in April of 2021 to visit Queen Elizabeth, it seems like the late Majesty was still less than pleased with her grandson's wife. An inside source would even come out to say Her Majesty believes Meghan and her publicity-obsessed antics pose a real threat to the monarchy. As she faced her final days, Elizabeth detests the self-centered newcomer for tearing Harry from his family to start a new life in America. The truth is, the Hollywood life has always been Meghan's dream, and Harry is her meal ticket. It was also noted that since the beginning, the Queen has always been very suspicious of Meghan, as Meghan has never been able to accept the royal rulebook. But still, because of her grandson, the Queen gave her many chances, and she hated how the Duchess of Sussex betrayed her. It was also stated that the Queen felt like Meghan used her title to gain an ambitious career in politics, which is a big no-no for the British family. After a while, even Queen Elizabeth lost patience with Meghan as she kept thumbing her nose at the royals, and she was letting everyone know what was happening behind the palace doors. Before the Queen passed away, she was really upset that Meghan would accuse the royals of being so cruel, uncaring, racist, and that she even had the guts to diss Prince William's wife, Kate. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton will never forget how Meghan Markle treated her, but she also has no need to prolong their feud. For years, rumors have been swirling around about a row between the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex at the wedding to Prince Harry in May 2018, and ever since, the relationship between the two ladies has remained very tense, with Kate saying she found it all to be very mortifying when she heard Meghan was claiming that she actually made Meghan cry during a row over the bridesmaid dresses. Kate has never wanted any suggestion of a rift with Meghan to come out to the press, so when Meghan started circulating lies about their relationship, it was really hard for Kate to deal with, and she did everything she could to keep her feelings private. While inside sources have claimed that Kate and Meghan both have very different versions of the story, she feels like she's not in the position to respond, as she thought it was all sorted out, and now Meghan's airing out all this dirty laundry, and it's just mortifying for Kate. Number 7, Prince William. A friend of Kate Middleton has claimed that Prince William absolutely hates Meghan Markle. In an explosive interview with the Daily Beast, the unnamed friend of Princess of Wales shared just how much Prince William dislikes Meghan and blames her for his falling out with Prince Harry. The source would go on to say the family blames Meghan for it all. Really, they absolutely hate her. Basically, it's a huge disaster. The insider continued to say, growing up, the brothers were so close. They lost their mom and their dad was disengaged, so they had this incredible bond. Everyone knew it. And then Meghan came along, everyone warned him off, but he wouldn't listen, and she just ripped him away. The bond is gone, completely gone, and this film is the latest betrayal. Now William really hates them both, and the friend would state further that it was really toxic and destructive for them all at the end of the day because they were family, and that their whole family has been ruined by Meghan. Number 6, King Charles. With Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continuing to air out the royal family grievances, despite making a few attempts to repair their relationship with the royal family after the Queen's passing, the main issue at play seems to be the ongoing release of their various media projects. With Harry's book and the couple's docu-series being released, it has caused some major tensions between the royals. And Charles has been left feeling pretty betrayed when it comes to Meghan's actions. If you don't recall, during Meghan's and Harry's wedding in 2018, Meghan's father couldn't attend, so she asked Charles if he would walk her down the aisle, and he would agree to Meghan's request because he's always actually been quite fond of her in the beginning. But now he's actually just somehow bewildered. The Queen was used to handling this kind of thing, and it didn't really throw her as much as it's thrown Charles, and understandably, it's because his son and daughter-in-law have been saying some pretty hurtful things. That was actually just really uncalled for, especially when the royal family actually did so much for them, and they did so much to help Meghan transition into her royal duties, and she was just so ungrateful towards the whole process, and it seems like she just never wanted to learn how to follow the royal ways. Number 5. Sharon Osbourne. Sharon Osbourne has never been afraid to share her opinions on Harry and Meghan, although at times she has defended the couple in the past. She has even gone as far to say she felt sorry for them at one point, to make a full 180 calling out the couple for their disrespectful docu-series. Sharon is absolutely done with Meghan playing the victim, as she believes that instead, Meghan should be using her platform to raise awareness for her charity rather than the way she has been treated by the media and the royal family. Sharon will go on to say that Meghan's actions are trash, and that all she ever talks about is how she is treated poorly because of her race and how she acts. Sharon will go on to note that Meghan should instead be grateful because she has a great life, a beautiful family, and she's very much in love and needs to get a life and move on already. With every interview Meghan and Harry do, it seems like all they do is whine about how there's no positive points to any of their stories or proof to back up their stories, so for the most part, Sharon just thinks they're lying. While the press may be hard on Meghan when she came to England, they're hard on so many people, including the rest of the royal family. Number 4. Jeremy Clarkson. Back in December, Jeremy Clarkson would publish a very misogynistic article about Meghan in The Sun, where he wrote that he hated the Duchess of Sussex on a cellular level. In the article, Jeremy would reference a famous scene from Game of Thrones where he wrote, "At night, I'm unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when Meghan Markle is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her." In a tweet published after the article was released, Jeremy would call it a clumsy reference to the scene in Games of Thrones and acknowledge that it had gone down badly with a number of different people. Jeremy would then say, "I was horrified to cause so much hurt, and I shall be more careful in the future." His article would come with the release of Meghan and Harry's Netflix docuseries, in which the couple would open up about the social media threats they received in recent years. Jeremy's article would then spark near immediate backlash from Brits, as Jeremy let his feelings about Meghan and Harry loose. Number 3. Howard Stern. US radio host Howard Stern has slammed both Prince Harry and Meghan Markle over their new docu-series, branding them as whiny bees. When the first 3 episodes arrived on the Netflix platform, it would feature revelations about everything from the couple's first date, Princess Diana, and supposed racism in the UK. However, Howard was clearly not impressed with the series, and he would criticize the pair, saying, "The show is very weird for two people who have historically pleaded for privacy." The couple who stepped away as royals have been able to retain their royal titles, and they have consistently issued statements arguing privacy was not the reason they quit the royal family. Stern would then question the motivation behind the series, which he described as being like watching the Kardashians, except it was boring to watch. Howard would say, "It's been painful. I wouldn't stay with it, but my wife wants to watch it. You know, we have shows that we watch, but they come off like such whiny bees. I gotta tell you, I just don't get it. There's nothing real about the relationship from the beginning to end. Those two whining about wah, and they don't like me, and she wants to be beloved in this country. Man, oh man. It's just very weird to watch two people screaming. We wanted our privacy. We wanted the press to leave us alone. But then we saw them all release everything about their lives on Netflix, so Howard, I personally just don't get it either." Number 2. Piers Morgan. Meghan Markle has been dubbed as being manipulative and controlling by Piers Morgan, who slammed the Duchess after the prince addressed the United Nations on Nelson Mandela Day. In his opinion, the Good Morning Britain would claim that Meghan was doing everything she could to socially climb the ladder, and it's clear that she is actually a ridiculous, two-faced sham. The brutal takedown from Piers would come right after Meghan won her bombshell privacy legal battle with the publisher of the Mail over a letter she wrote to her estranged father. Meghan has previously won the case, but gained a second victory after the publisher fought for an appeal in the case. Well, Meghan described it not only being a victory for her, but for anyone who felt scared to stand up for what's right. In a powerful statement afterwards, throughout the privacy case, there had been a number of bombshell moments from the news that Meghan drafted the letter to her dad knowing that it could be leaked. However, Piers would hit back at Meghan's claims and he would mock her for impersonating some kind of letter day Winston Churchill rallying a nation in wartime, rather than an unemployed actress fleecing her unelected marital royal status for gazillions from her California mansion. Number 1. Bethenny Frankel. Bethenny Frankel is always doubling down on her criticism of Meghan Markle as she claims that Meghan has painted herself into a corner following her royal exit. Bethenny has said, "Timing is everything. Don't believe you owe BS. And play chess, not checkers." Bethenny has also claimed that Meghan caused herself to be in a terrible situation when she and Prince Harry stepped down from their senior royal duties in 2020, and that she effed it all up when it came to her whole life outside of the royal bubble. Bethenny would also note that Meghan is a polarizing person, and that we shouldn't get it twisted, as Meghan is very much like a housewife and she can't stop talking about very things she wants to be, and that is to be irrelevant. Bethenny would also state when Meghan left the royal family, she should have learned something, and that's if she wanted to leave the royal family, she should have just left the royal family, but instead we see her talking about the royal family in every single interview. But she never wanted to participate in the royal family game until she left the royal family and made it her own game. It honestly takes more energy not to forgive, but Meghan continues to hold on to her judges and expose the royal family in very condescending ways.